That LP was an international hit, but it bombed in the States. They're trying again with their latest release, titled One. It's dedicated to younger brother Andy Gibb, who struggled with a cocaine addiction and died of heart failure last year at the age of 30. There's a song on the new album called Wish You Were Here, which is getting a lot of attention. What's that song about?
We were writing that song subconsciously, not knowing, but it was about 3/4 of the way through it, we realized that we were writing about Andy. And it was about a month after he died. And when we realized that this was the song that we should dedicate to Andy.
Never see your face again. Then I was scared. I lost everything. They're losing you.
Andy Gibb's death was played out in the tabloids, publicity that made the tragedy even worse for the family.
It's not so difficult for us to deal with as it is for our parents to deal with, because we know what the newspapers are like, and we know what people are capable of saying, and they don't really care about your feelings, and they just write anything that might be sensational. For instance, a reporter calling a newspaper near the house where Andy died, near the place where Andy died, called up the local newspaper and said, bad news, it was natural causes.
Through personal setbacks and worldwide stardom, the Bee Gees say they have learned the price of success.
Well, you see, the truth is, the dream doesn't really come true, only for very few. What we mean when we say the dream doesn't really come true, you don't end up living happily ever after. You always end up with some problems. You don't end up with the whole world loving you and everybody drinking toast to you and you getting all the respect you ever wanted. It doesn't really work that way. It's not being there that's everything. It's the trip there and how much you enjoy it. How can you stop the rain?
A year now since we lost Andy, and it's changed us considerably. We're not the same people we were before we lost Andy. He was very close to us. We miss him. We miss him singing with us on our own time, you know. And we recorded some songs with him before he died, and those songs will come out on a greatest hits album for Andy. You don't ever come to terms with losing somebody close to you.
You get used to it. You don't come to terms with it.
Yeah. If you lose somebody close to you, you believe that they're out there. They're out there somewhere. You know, they're not gone and they're not dust. They exist somewhere, and you feel deep inside you that you will see them again one day. I know that anyone who's lost somebody close feels the same way. And if that makes you more spiritual, that's fine.
It's very hard to describe unless you've actually experienced it yourself. You have to really go through it to understand it.
You have to lose a brother or a mother or a father or a sister, and I think then
and it's harder for us to also appreciate my mother and father losing their youngest child. You know, it's a different type of grief in its own, world.
And it gave us an understanding of them, where before anything had happened to Andy, we didn't really understand how parents feel about kids, even though we're parents. Until you lose someone, then you know.
Lighting and beautiful sound. That's the most important thing that we wanted to go.
That's how we want to come across, as really good acoustics. But the other real reason I was going to say, for doing all this, the reason we're so energized is because having lost Andy, our brother, made us realize that like him, we were in danger of wasting what we had and not touring and not giving out and sort of just making records and being a studio group. And we really are a live group, and we haven't done it for about 10 years. And it's time to make up for that time.